office. Bring it next time. Bring it.
That was my first thought. I'm like,
I don't know.
we're not finding anything. This is not us. And then I realized football.
Welcome to the November meeting of the Alexander Board of Education. Can we have roll?
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Aaron, Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the adoption of the agenda with the adding of, under superintendent's reports, we have a third item for volunteer procedures, and I will make that motion.
Second.
Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes. Reports and comments. We have superintendent's report, recognition. I'll let you just take it from there.
Well, first off, I want to talk just about our veterans. This is a very big week, not only for Alexander Schools, but for our country. On Friday, we will recognize veterans nationally and for their service and their commitment and contributions to our country. Tomorrow, we will have a couple of assemblies to recognize veterans from our community, and we're excited about that. I know I heard the kids practicing their songs today, so it's going to be a big day, and so an important day for our school and for our veterans. But also, we have veterans within our school that I'd like to recognize, and I have 6 people that I'd like to recognize tonight. There are 2 that are here that I'm aware of, and I appreciate you coming tonight. First off, these are the folks who are not here. It's Randy Brooks, who's an elementary teacher and served in the National Guard for 2 years. Steve Gooden is a driver, and he served in the Army. Andy Hogsett is a driver and works in our food service as well, and served in the Army for 2 years. And Taylor Ryan. Taylor sent me a message before the meeting and said he had other commitments, but he was really appreciative of the offer to come. And Taylor is a junior high math teacher who serves in the Navy Reserve for 8 years. Now we have 2 other individuals who are here, and Mark Rice, he's our technology coordinator, and Mark has served 13 years in the Navy. So congratulations, that's amazing. And we have Dan Phillips. Surprisingly, was he's our transportation supervisor. He also was in the Navy, but he was in the Navy Reserve for 4 years. So Dan, thank you for your service. Congratulations. Dan only asked for one thing, and he deserved it.
This is a good meeting. Good hire.
Did you do logistics?
Probably so. But no, it is a great day. Our veterans give a lot, and the simple gesture of honoring them for a day doesn't really show how much we appreciate it. So, thank you all.
Thank you all for your service.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for every day you allow us to do what we do. Thank you.
Couple of other things that I'm going to talk about. Changes to our substitute teacher requirements. I'd like to lessen that so that we can open the door and possibly have a couple of more subs. 1 more substitute would be wonderful. 2 more substitutes would be even greater. So I'd like to reduce those, and there's an item on the agenda for that, to a minimum of a high school diploma. But anyone coming in is going to have to talk to me. They would have to be with the superintendent's approval before they would have the opportunity to work within the district as a teacher sub. So I know of 1 person who is interested. I'm hoping that there are others. This opens the door for some of our student teachers who are still in the bachelor's program, if they want to come in during breaks, or maybe they have days where they do not have class, they could come in and be a part of our building and a part of our district. That'll help us out and give them a different experience as well. The other that I wanted to talk about were some of our volunteer procedures. I would like to tighten up some of the volunteer procedures, and I'd like to put a background check as an element to anyone who wants to serve as a volunteer within our district. If you are going to serve as a volunteer where you may be presumed in a supervisory role of students, I think there should become a little more expected of those positions. There are ways to do background checks for those people where the investment's $15 to $20. And so I think that's I think that's something that we want to do. We want to make sure the people in our buildings with our kids are the right people. That also is something that I'll get more details on and we'll talk about in our next board meeting.
And what level of volunteer are you talking, like chaperones of field trips?
Yes. Like if you're going to be in a presumed authoritative role,
Mhm.
I would like you to go through the process and to ultimately be board approved.
Okay.
Right now, there isn't that element to it, and I think it's an important piece.
Okay.
And that's all that I have to speak of at this time. I think Mrs. Carr is going to talk to you about some changes or some updates we're going to have to the reading curriculum. And Miss Rouse also joined her. She's going to assist as well. We're really excited about these changes, so.
I'm just so excited I came back 2 months in a row.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so last month when I was here, we were talking about the always a good sign to mark this. All right, so last month when I was here, we talked about the school report card. I'm sure you remember one of the things we highlighted as an area for improvement was our K-3 literacy. Mr. Hampton, Ms. Rouse, and Shauna Kospel and I have met almost weekly, if not twice a week, for the last probably 2 months to discuss what we can do to improve K-3 literacy. Literacy is something that affects all grade levels, all subject areas, and basically when they leave here, it's something that continues to have an impact on their quality of life. The foundation is formed in that K-3 literacy, and so when we start looking at our data, we have concerns. On our school report card for the last several years, you can see over the last 5 years, we have been going down in terms of how many of our students are identified as on track in terms of our diagnostic for the elementary. We do the diagnostic for kindergarten through 3rd grade every year at the beginning of the year is where this data comes from. The first year you see up there is 2017, 2018. We were close to 80% at that point in time. Our one from just this year, we're down to 62%. That's a concern. I mean, part of that we can attribute to COVID, but not all of it. I think it's been a continuing trend that we need to be aware of and keep in the back of our mind as we're going forward, as we're thinking about what do we need to do to improve. The other piece that we discussed last month when we talked about the report card is how we compare to similar districts, districts who have students similar to ours, who have same socioeconomic status, same education status, same school size, those types of things. And when you look, we are the gray bar compared to other school districts, and we are in the lower end of that. Another thing to keep in mind is our special education numbers. It doesn't look like it's a large increase when you look at the line. However, that's a percentage of our students who we are identifying as special ed as we go across the years. The state average has stayed pretty similar to the same. We are slowly creeping up every year, and Ms. Rouse can probably elaborate more on this piece, but according to our school psychologists, we are identifying and testing more students this year, almost double a rate than we have years past.
Yeah, I talked to Mrs. Roush, our school psychologist, and she's concerned at the rate of how we're identifying students. And we probably need to look at some additional underlying factors that might be contributing. A lot of our kids are being identified in reading specifically, not necessarily mathematics. There are likely other contributing factors, right, than just our student population. We're coming to a point where our case numbers in special education, our special ed teachers can only have so many students on their caseload, and we're pushing the maximum number as it is. I think she told me the other day that she has more than twice the number of referrals at this point right now than she did the first half of last year. The special ed staff is concerned as well. Really what it comes down to is reading, right? And so we have to start asking ourselves, is there a problem with our instruction or the curriculum that we have, right? Why are so many students suddenly being identified? And that's really what we've spent a lot of time talking about over the last couple of months.
On the same page, when we talk about students who are struggling in reading, we also do a reading diagnostic. When we're looking at that, we identify students who are either already off track or on the verge of being off track. And those students we identify get a reading improvement plan. So this graph is showing how many students this year have a reading improvement plan in our grades kindergarten, first, second, and third, and then the last bar is overall. It is a large percentage of our students, and to me that's concerning. It's concerning for many reasons. Research says that if more than 20% of your students are struggling or need intervention, you have a core instruction problem. We are at more than 20% right now. I mean, we are substantially above 20% of our students being marked as off track for reading. So here's kind of showing the same thing. So it's our percentage of students off track for K-3 literacy. The graph on the right shows our change from last year. So that off-track change from 2021, that's the number of students, and that's looking at the same cohort of kids. So our first graders, that cohort of kids, we actually have an additional student off track this year compared to last year. Our students in second grade, there's 3 additional students off track. In our third grade, there are 20 additional students off track. And you can see the percentage of off-track students per grade level is also listed. Kindergarten, we obviously do not have data from preschool. But we're looking at 37% of our students right now in kindergarten through third grade are off track in terms of their reading abilities.
The concern that we have here, though, is also that we're offering intervention to these students who are identified as off track. This is a requirement from the state that we have to give these diagnostics. They have to be given a reading improvement plan, and then we have to monitor their progress. All of these students that are deemed off track are getting 30 minutes of intervention from an intervention teacher. I mean, Shauna Costable is fantastic. I mean, these kids are getting good instruction and intervention, but we are not moving them back on track, right? So we know that we have phenomenal teachers here at Alexander. I see it every day. They're doing great things. I don't think it's the quality of who's providing the instruction, but it's what is the basis of our instruction, right? And no curriculum is going to sort of make up for the instruction that we're providing. And that's kind of what we want to get at with our teachers, is how do we change the way we're instructing or teaching our kids how to read so that we can move more of these kids out of intervention into that on-track path. In third grade, students have to take the third grade test. The state of Ohio has brought back that requirement to move on to fourth grade. So obviously we're concerned, and time is sort of the essence here.
So with all of that in mind, many of our meetings have we've centered our conversation on what can we do. There's a multi-pronged approach. It's no one thing is going to fix this, and it's not a short-term fix either. It's going to be a several-year process, and it's going to take some substantial changes across the board to fix kind of some of these issues we're facing. The first thing we talked about is we need a literacy committee to start evaluating our strengths, our weaknesses, develop a vision and a mission for literacy instruction for K-12. This isn't just an elementary problem. I've met with social studies teachers in grades 6 through 12 today, and the high school teachers were even talking about they have high school students who struggle to read. I mean, this is not just an elementary problem. It's a problem that's plaguing all of our students that we need to be able to help. I mean, that's our job, is to teach them reading, so we need to be able to figure out the best way to do so at this point. So our thought process was, there's kind of 4 different things we want to look at. There's a literacy committee we want to work on, professional development for our teachers, improving our diagnostic approach, and then ensuring we are aligned to some new state requirements. I'm not sure if you were aware, but there are new dyslexia requirements that are coming down. They actually were supposed to go in place this year, but due to COVID, they've been delayed. They actually go into effect next year. Part of them, there's several different components. One of them is a substantial professional development for our teachers. And the reason for that, the reason for them including that professional development component, most of our teachers, when they were taught how to teach reading, they were taught an approach that now research is showing is not the most effective approach. And it's not that what they're doing is wrong, it's just that what they have found, there's a better approach that services more students in a better way. And so basically that takes reteaching teachers a different mindset for teaching reading. And so with that, we're required to get 18 hours of professional development for all of our reading teachers, K through 5, and all of our intervention specialists, K through 12. 18 hours doesn't sound like a lot, but 18 hours is a lot. And so when we started thinking through it, there are multiple ways to hit that 18-hour requirement. And that's the piece that if we're going to devote 18 hours, which is essentially 3 full days of PD, which we all know is something that is a very valuable time around here because PD days means no days for students. We wanted to make sure that those days are as meaningful as possible and we get our biggest bang for our buck. We're not just checking a box. We want to do something that's going to have a lasting impact on instruction and our kids for years to come. There are options that are just checking that box that none of us felt comfortable with, to be honest, because it wasn't serving the purpose that the intention was behind this. So for the professional development, we are proposing the idea of a letters training. Letters training is something that the state of Ohio and several states in the United States have done a lot of research around. It's centered around the idea of the science of reading. The science of reading basically looks at how you approach literacy instruction, and it's kind of overhauled the whole approach. I mean, most of our teachers were probably trained in the balanced literacy approach. This looks at it more from a structured literacy approach, which is a drastic mindset shift from how they've been doing. And I would say probably we're 50-50 right now in terms of our staff of what they're doing. And 50-50 anything in terms of curriculum is not good. That just means there's inconsistencies and it makes it hard for students to be able to connect those dots as they go grade by grade. And again, this isn't anything, like Ms. Rouse said, our teachers are fantastic. We have excellent teachers here. This is not a knock on them in any way. This is simply, there is a shift in terms of education, just like everything else. And research is showing there's a better way to do this. And so we're trying to figure out how we can get caught up with this new way to service our students for years to come.
I kind of was thinking on the way over here when I was thinking about this entire shift, and I had a conversation with a teacher after school that as you learn more, you adapt. I remember when my second son was born, he was born with a heart defect, and the doctor said to me, "You're so lucky he was born today. If this was 10 years ago, it would be open heart surgery. He'd be okay, but that's what it would be." Today we know more, and we can fix this, and we just have to basically insert a little microscope into his body, and we can fix it. He's in and out in one day. We know more, right? So the end result might sort of be the same in the long run, but we can do it more efficiently, right? And we only have our kids for so long, and so we need to work efficiently. And I think that this is going to give our teachers the ability to do that. It's also going to make it much more consistent, which Megan talked about. We lack consistency across the board. That's not good for kids when they're learning how to read. We need to be doing the same thing. We can continue to kind of bandage things and find short-term solutions, but we need a long-term solution, and this is going to be a commitment, this letters training. I think I am fully on board. I think Ms.
I'm
Carr
fully on
is.
board.
Mr. Hampton really believes in this, and Shauna Costable, who is our reading specialist here at Alexander, she's so on board, she's already doing the training. But it is going to be a commitment. 18 hours is just the tip of the iceberg.
All in all, letters training is a 2-year process just to complete the training. It requires 8 days of in-person professional development plus a substantial amount of online work from our teachers. It's also a substantial financial investment on the district's part, which is part of the reason why we wanted to make sure that you guys were aware and had the idea of thinking through and seeing what your support level was for us moving forward and thinking through this process through. The other parts of this process that we haven't talked about is there are screening components that are coming into play next year as well. We are going to be required to screen for dyslexia for all students in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, as well as by request for grades 4 through 6. Then going forward, every new kindergarten student will be screened upon entry into our school. we are estimating that this is going to be a large amount of kids identified. Students who are identified as having dyslexia require special instruction. This would satisfy that requirement as well. Right now, we have a handful of teachers who have training that would allow them to service these students. This would allow all of our teachers to be able to service those students. Anything else you want to add about that piece?
I
And
think the important thing to understand is that a lot of this will be state requirement, things that we have to do. And this training will satisfy a lot of those requirements, but also give our teachers the tools that they need to provide the type of instruction our students need to be successful. That's what we are all after at the end of the day.
That's what, and on the handout that we provided that has the timeline, you can see in red are the state requirements, which is the majority of that page. Black are some of the ones that we've added in or done things slightly different than the state requirements or went above and beyond the state requirements, but for the most part, what we're doing is just to get us in the compliance range. Questions about that part? I know that was a lot to throw at you in one big swoop.
I've had 2 months to digest all of it and look at data and ask questions, so.
What other districts similarly or non-similarly have taken a similar approach, and what have
That's a
the
great
results?
So, we've actually contacted a lot of schools in the area across the state. I will tell you, we are behind when it comes to this. A lot of districts are already in year 2 of their training for letters. A lot of districts across the state. I think it's too early really to say what the end result is. I do know that there are other districts. Mr. Hampton said that Marietta had just kind of started this.
Nelsonville, York is-
Nelsonville, York, that are seeing success, that are seeing improvement. It's not gonna be a quick change though, right? I mean, this is,
This training is to build the knowledge of our teachers. It's to build the capacity of our teachers. It's not a curriculum. It's not a here's a script to teach. It literally is a capacity. It's almost like a master's degree for the teachers in terms of teaching reading. It's truly just an overhaul of instructional practices, not necessarily curriculum materials.
It's the pedagogy.
Yes.
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 How does pre-K fit into this?
That's an excellent question. It's funny you ask. So there actually is a letters component for preschool, and I've actually already brought it up to our county superintendent that we would love to see the county schools go in together and provide that training for the preschools. That way that there is a seamless transition between the two. The great thing from what I know of it is several of the county schools who are also in the same preschool coalition as us, they are already in the process of doing letters. So I'm hopeful that we can also get them on board with this idea of let's get our preschool on the same mindset shift. As Mr. Hampton and I have had many conversations about how can we streamline preschool to kindergarten, because that is a big jump. And there is a whole component of this that goes along with preschool.
Thank you. And you said half an hour of, just back a page, half an hour of, what was it, intervention? Is that a
Intervention.
day or a week?
That's every day.
Okay.
Students who are considered off track.
Okay, I just didn't know what the
Must receive
timeline.
30 minutes of that intervention per day.
Okay, thank you.
That's what, so the reading, the fellows that we have in place at the elementary,
Yes.
they are working with Ms. Kospel, and they are the ones providing a lot of that intervention right now.
I had a child who had that many years ago. It was good.
All of this, these are big shifts, and they will take time. The return on this is going to be a slow burn. We'll start to see it in gradual steps, but as kids progress up through the system, that's when we'll start to really recognize the changes.
How is it, you said you did this, how was it received teacher-wise?
How is it
This
received,
group?
teacher?
I mean, that's a large commitment you're asking for, a certain select group of your teachers. This is your intervention specialists and
It's
your
all.
reading.
It's all the
Oh, it's
teachers.
all?
All.
The
Oh.
only teachers that possibly might not be included would be in 4th, 5th, it's kind of departmentalized, right? So we have math teachers, ELA teachers. So that's the only place it might not include this, but this is for all teachers.
It's all for
The
K through
elementary.
3.
This, I mean,
Okay.
it's about,
Misread what it was.
it's about unifying our direction.
Mhm.
Because we're doing different things in different places. And I think some of that, we may be, even though we're remediating and intervening, we still may be creating some of our own problems with the variance from class to class and grade to grade in how things are being taught. And that, again, that's not a reflection that we have, our teachers aren't qualified. They're very qualified, but we're trying to give them a new set of skills and a new set of tools that are gonna help our kids even more.
And to go back to your question about, you know, how are teachers going through, it's gonna be a mixed bag, because it is big. Asking yourself, forcing yourself when you've done something for a long time, right, to reevaluate the way you've done things in the past, that's a big ask of our teachers. I think that the feedback that I've had from teachers, no matter where they stand on what we're doing, is that we have to do something. They recognize that there's an issue. And I think that all of the teachers in this district are nothing if not committed to the kids. And I think that they will do, if they see the value in something, they are gonna do what it takes and put in the time to make sure that we're giving our kids what they need. It's our job to show them the value in this. And that's the conversation that we've had. That's why we wanna form a literacy committee, because we want teachers to be a part of formulating that vision of what we wanna see, and making it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was really well done, thank you.
Thank you. Somebody read that list? Because I don't think we had any
Just,
public
you want me to get it?
participation.
I got it.
You got it? All right. I don't think we had any public participation on agenda items. No public participation on agenda items? No. All right. So we have the consent agenda. Anything need to be removed for discussion? Then I look for a motion.
Made.
Seconded.
Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes. Okay. Items for board approval. Under item A, it's recommended the Board of Education employ the following pending their meeting all state and local requirements. We have Adam O'Brien, substitute custodian, and Katie O'Brien, custodian. So
Move.
moved.
Seconded.
Discussion. Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes, and welcome. Item B, it's recommended that the Board of Education approve the enclosed memorandum of understanding with ALEA regarding quarterly 2-hour early dismissals.
So moved. Seconded.
Discussion. Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Abstain. Item C, it's recommended the Board of Education adopt the enclosed resolution for the employment of substitute teachers.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion. Now, this is what you were talking about earlier
Yes.
with the reducing.
Yes.
Right. Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes. Item D, it's recommended that the Board of Education approve the enclosed updated 5-year forecast as required by the Ohio Revised Code 5705.391. So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion. Do you have that paper? I didn't bring it.
What do you need?
This-
Yeah, I was just
Copy
gonna
them
say, the one thing I just want to make sure that gets stated in the forecast, do you have it up there?
Yeah, we have, do you have?
We can do it.
I just want people to be able to see. Make sure that it's out there.
Which one? Oh,
The chart,
what did I do?
that summary, the summary that we had
Yeah, it's on the
discussed.
second one.
Mark will get you taken care of.
Whoops. Right? Now, right?
There you go.
There we go.
You want to talk about that?
That one. I just wanted to
Which
just
page
make
is this?
sure that everybody was clear that the
It's on
upper
page
table,
3.
Page 3, okay, yes.
the top part is with continuous levy renewal. And the bottom table would be if the levy is not renewed. And that's one of the things that's coming in the future in 2 years. And so I just want to make sure that
So
that
our first cut at it will be next fall,
next fall.
yes.
That would be where we're looking to renew the levy that is currently there. And so, as you can see by that table, that our numbers, where we have a balanced seated, balanced budget is based upon that levy. And so, without it, we're coming down quite a bit. So, I just want to make sure that that was out there for people to see.
Right, essentially, that would, without the levy, we would have a $2 million hole in our budget. For us, that's about a 10% drop. And so if you think about your household and the impact on your household, if you had a 10% drop in your household finances, that would impact how you did business. So it's very important to the district. I would say that it's critical to the district for us to maintain the programs that we're able to offer. I think that we offer some wonderful opportunities for our young people. I think there are things that we offer that are so valuable, the impact on losing them would be incredible. Maintaining this levy is going to be a critical point in the future of Alexander. And we have another year to prepare for that, but understand that it is important, and this is not an excess levy. This is a necessity levy, and it's an investment in your children and your school. It's not just spending on school. It is truly an investment.
So we're in the 5-year window of when this facility comes off the books as far as the costs we had there, right?
It ends in 24, the same as ending with the
24,
levy.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
Sorry, that's a property tax, is that correct?
Yes.
That's for the bond issue to pay
levy.
for the school.
Bond issue.
The bond,
Yeah,
yeah.
that will go off of the books
Yes,
next year.
December of 24, yeah.
Okay, we get that question a lot, thank you.
Mhm.
Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes,
Blake.
Yes. Items initiated by board members or board reports?
I got more information, and I apologize to Kim last meeting for putting you on the spot, but I just do want to publicly thank People's Bank for making that $5,000 donation. That was I believe, their final commitment on their pledge for the ARC. So I just wanted to publicly thank them for their support.
Thank you. Under public participation, we have William Gamble. If you'd step to the mic.
Hi, my name's William Gamble, and I'm an ordained minister. And I had a family bring something to my attention. So before I address that, I want to read something in our First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Now, it's been brought to my attention by witnesses that this school is telling their children that they can change their gender. Is that true?
No.
So nobody has said anything like that, taught anything like that in this school?
It's not part of our state curriculum, which we
Okay.
follow.
All righty, well, I was just, it was brought to my attention and I have to address it, so, you know, I don't know why they would lie, but, all righty, well, I guess that if you guys are not teaching that, then I have to recheck into that and see what's going on here. Because I always stand up for the truth.
Absolutely.
So, all righty, well,
Yeah,
thank you.
It's not part of our curriculum. Thank you. Next, we have an executive session for the employment of an employee or official. And before we look for a motion or a second, I will tell you that there is no planned action following of such. So I will make that motion.
Second.
Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes. Our next meeting is Wednesday, December 14th. We'll try to say again if you plan on sticking around. So, thank you.
7:27.
Are you ready there, Mark? All right. It is 8:14. We are back in session here. Our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. Does that work for any, December 14th?
For now.
For now, all right. I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Second?
Roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lucy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes. Thank you. Have a good night.